Have you ever had the strange feeling that your life could have been more? Not better, not easier, just more. More than what it is right now. Maybe you felt it late at night, when the room is quiet, when nobody is watching, and a question appears in the back of your mind. What happened to the person I thought I would become? Most people think wasted potential looks obvious. A talented athlete who never trained, a brilliant student who dropped out, an artist who never created. But the truth is often much more uncomfortable. Wasted potential rarely looks like failure. Most of the time, it looks like comfort, and that is exactly why it is so dangerous. Imagine two people. The first person fails repeatedly. They try, they fall, they make mistakes, but they keep moving. The second person waits for confidence, waits for motivation, waits for the perfect opportunity, waits until they finally feel ready. 10 years later, only one of them has a different life, and it isn't the person who waited. Psychologists have spent decades studying procrastination, avoidance, and self-sabotage, and they discovered something surprising. Most people are not avoiding work. They are avoiding discomfort. The discomfort of uncertainty, the discomfort of embarrassment, the discomfort of failure. Because as long as the dream stays in your head, it stays perfect. The moment you act on it, reality gets involved, and reality is messy. Inside, almost every person lives two versions of themselves. The first is the real self, the person who exists today. The second is the fantasy self, the person who could become successful, confident, respected, accomplished. And this is where the problem begins. Many people become emotionally attached to the fantasy version. They enjoy imagining success more than pursuing it. The dream becomes entertainment, a private movie they replay over and over. One day I'll start. One day I'll change. One day everything will be different. But days become months. Months become years. And the fantasy remains exactly where it started. Inside the imagination. Safe, untested, untouched by reality. People who spend a lot of time thinking can sometimes become trapped by their own analysis. They can explain everything, including their own excuses. They can justify waiting, rationalize delay, create perfect reasons why today is not the day. And because those explanations sound logical, they rarely challenge them. Over time, thinking becomes a hiding place, not against failure, against action. The more they analyze, the easier it becomes to stay trapped inside thought. Instead of moving into reality, most people think addiction means substances. But there is another kind of addiction that rarely gets discussed. Comfort. Comfort asks for nothing. Comfort never judges. Comfort never risks embarrassment. Comfort says, stay here. You're safe. Start tomorrow. And tomorrow becomes another tomorrow, then another, then another. Years pass, and slowly something strange happens. The comfort that once protected you begins to imprison you. The walls are soft, but they are still walls. The greatest cost of wasted potential is not money, not status, not success. The greatest cost is self-respect, because deep down, people usually know. They know when they are capable of more. They know when they are hiding. They know when they are living beneath their own standards. And every day that gap remains open, something happens. Confidence begins to fade. Trust in yourself begins to weaken. Not because you failed, because you stopped believing your own promises. You told yourself you would start. You didn't. You told yourself you would change. You didn't. Eventually, the mind learns a dangerous lesson. Your words cannot be trusted, and that lesson affects everything. Here is something most people discover far too late. They spend years waiting to feel motivated, waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for confidence, waiting until they finally feel ready. But readiness is often a myth, because confidence rarely comes before action. It usually arrives after it. The first step feels uncomfortable. The second feels slightly easier. The third begins to feel normal. And before you realize it, momentum has quietly replaced hesitation. The person who writes one page begins to see themselves as a writer. The person who exercises for 10 minutes begins to see themselves differently. Not because their life transformed overnight, but because they proved something important to themselves. They moved, and movement has a way of breaking paralysis that thinking alone never can. Imagine meeting yourself 10 years from now. Not the version that succeeded, not the version that failed, the version that never tried, the version that kept waiting, kept delaying, kept hoping life would change on its own. What would that person say to you? Would they thank you, or would they wish you had started sooner? Most people spend their lives fearing failure. Very few spend time fearing regret. Yet regret is often the heavier burden, because failure can teach you something. Regret only reminds you. If this message resonates with you, hear this carefully. You are probably not lacking potential. Most people are not. You are not lacking intelligence. You are not lacking talent. You are not lacking capability. What you may be lacking is permission. Permission to begin before you feel ready. Permission to be imperfect, permission to fail, permission to learn. Because the people who eventually build extraordinary lives are rarely the most talented. They are usually the people who stopped waiting and started moving, one small step at a time. The tragedy of wasted potential is not that you never had greatness inside you. The tragedy is spending your entire life protecting that greatness so carefully that you never gave it the chance to exist. If this resonated with you, subscribe for more psychology and self-awareness content. And before you go, tell me in the comments, what is one thing you've been postponing for far too long? Take care of yourself. And remember, your future is not built by what you plan. It is built by what you begin.